Okay, now let's move on to the next session on the theme of AI will accelerate gender equality for women in technology. The panelists for this session are Ms. Jean Alofonso-Decena, in Silence AI, founder and executive director. Next, Ms. Shiho Watabe, Shibuya Startup Spekaer CEO. Mr. Akio Tanaka, Headline Asia, founding partner. Ms. Nikita Kent, Altex Research strategist. The session is moderated by Ms. Rebecca Takada, Women in Tech Japan Marketing Director.
Everyone, hello. So I've been to too many sessions. Thank you so much for joining us today for, I think, the first ever Oxford-style debate, or any style debate, at Sushi Tech. I am so honored to be on stage with an incredible group of people. Please find them on LinkedIn if you haven't already. You got to connect. Your network is your net worth. So just really quickly, all views and opinions expressed on this stage do not necessarily represent the professional or personal opinions of the people who are saying them. This is purely debate for debate's sake. I am going to time everyone pretty strictly, so you'll hear me cut you off if you run out of time. We're going to do 5 minutes for each person on each side, starting with our proponents, finishing with our opponents, and then we go back and forth on closing statements and rebuttal. All right? I will be over there, and guys, I will probably give you a nice hajime when it's time to start, okay?
All right.
And then a nice English, finished. Time's up when you're done. All right. So we're going to start with Shiho-san, who is going to be advocating for our topic, AI will accelerate gender equality for women in tech. Shiho-san.
Okay. Hi.
Hajime.
First of all, thanks for having me here today. I'm Shiho from Shibuya Startups KK. So I'm a mother, a woman in tech leadership, and a strong believer that AI can be a force for equity if we choose to use it wisely.
This is what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Well.
Yeah. All right. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. So AI offers a once-in-a-generation chance to reset systems that have historically excluded women, especially in technology. Let's look at the reality today. Women make up only 28% of the global STEM workforce. In Japan, just 16% of engineers are women. Unconscious bias and male-dominated norms continue to shape hiring, promotion, and workplace culture. This shows culture changes more slowly than we hope. Definitely slower than tech, but we can use AI to lead change. Now, I would like to talk about how AI can accelerate gender equity. Reducing bias. Sorry, I'm just gonna. Reducing bias. Did I break the microphone? Okay. No. Reducing the bias in hiring, promotion, or performance evaluation. AI tools in hiring can anonymize CVs and remove gendered language. In Unilever in the US, they used AI in early stage hiring, resulting in higher diversity, 75% faster hiring, and improved candidate satisfaction. And in Japan, SoftBank tested AI HR tools to diversify, shortlist, and reduce hiring bias. And the second point is expanding access to upskilling and reskilling. So women have a lot of ups and downs in our lives. We have kids. Much better, thank you. All right, and so I was saying AI is good for reskilling and letting women to re-enter workforce after having babies or caretaking duties. So that is the second point. And third point, enabling flexible outcome-based work models. AI supports asynchronous collaboration, automation of repetitive tasks, and intelligent scheduling. Especially for time-constrained mothers and caretakers, AI enables efficient contribution, escaping the hours equals success equation. So that's my argument. And in conclusion, AI is not a silver bullet, but it is a mirror and a lever for gender equity. And if trained on biased data, it will replicate injustice. But with intention, AI can redesign systems that include and elevate women. Let's not fear this technology, and let's lead it with the right intention.
Thank you so much, Shiho-san. She has yielded 1 minute 47 back to the chair. That's me. So, Jean, you are next. I'm trying to make your name French. We're a French organization. Paris back. I'm going to give you 5 minutes on the clock. And for our speakers, we're competing a little bit with the large stage over there, so let's make them compete with us. Jean, take it away.
Yes, thank you so much for having us and calling on In Silence to speak more about this. And thank you for everyone for coming out here. I resonate so much with the motherhood and the womanhood here. But before I get into the child-rearing essence of building AI models, let me share a little anecdote about how I got into AI. When I joined the AI space in 2018, there was only 3 women in the Philippines who were working on building AI bots, not users, but actually building AI bots. And that was in 2018 when the world considered AI to be weird and not so much acceptable in so many ways. But now, fast forward to 2022 when OpenAI exploded in a gazillion ways, all of a sudden, all of the women were looking at this space because all of a sudden, AI, something as deep and as high-tech as AI, became very accessible and very easy to understand and get into. And if you compare the stats from 2015 to now, there's a 5 to 7% increase in just the representation and the roles of AI leadership and organizations such as Women in Tech and many other organizations and communities that revolve in AI and reskilling and upskilling women in AI, starting at very young ages, as 6 years old, all over the world. There is a lot and a ton of efforts being brought into the AI space. When you think about VC funding, one of the biggest funds awarded to a woman, to an AI company, is led by a woman, having raised $50 million for Affectiva. And if you think about the history of AI, we started with Ada Lovelace, mid-century, and then it was slow in the beginning, but again, towards the late 20th century, more and more women and more men actually consciously started to find women to join the space, mentors actively throwing in and all the resources and the time and the mentorship to really nurture and reskill and upskill women in the space. Because whether we admit it or not, building AI models take more than coding. You conceptualize first, and then you design what you want to build. And a lot of this encompasses intuitive design and thoughtful integration of how humans need to interact with these bots. So one of the biggest fears of users of AI is that they're not human enough. And women have that intuitive power to understand other humans, which then becomes an essential skill in training AI models. So if we think about the present and the present pluralistic society that we are in, where differences and unique capabilities are celebrated even by the men, then it's an even better space for us to live in and survive. And there's no longer that barrier of, I don't have the background of computer science. I personally didn't have the background of computer science. I had the blessings of amazing mentors who threw me into boot camps of all of these things. And that's why I'm in the AI space now. And now, a lot of content and a lot of the academic people, scientific fields, AI companies, and VC funding is going towards really building the skills and the network for the girls and the ladies and the women of the world. So even the co-founder of Coursera, who offers a lot of free AI training tools, is a woman. So everything is in there. Like, there's no reason for women now to get into the game. And also, men have gotten to a burnout stage where they're like, I want to go back to farming. And that is true. It's true. It's a true anecdote. And they kind of want to give like the space to women now because they also believe in the power of the women and in collaborating and in giving that human touch. Did you notice that the bots? There's a bot here that's actually a woman. And so a lot of the user interfaces and the embodiments of women, of AI models being designed are all women voices in conversational AI, because users tend to be attracted by the women bots, not so much by the men bots. So how are you going to build effective, usable AI models if you don't build the women AI, right? So plus, the conversation now actually revolves in not anymore the women in tech, but human in technology. So the moment that we stop talking about women in technology, but more so human in technology, that truly is a sign that...
That's it. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jean. All right. That is the proposition for the resolution for debate. We are going to start now the opposition phase, and we're going to start with Mr. Akio Tanaka. Akio-san,
Okay,
take it
thank
away.
you. Yes, actually, I would like to start my comment, first of all, by actually congratulating Jean, because we do actually need a lot more leadership, I think female leadership in the AI space. Now, that's quite lacking. And as a headline, we have also backed 2 AI companies that are led by women. Now, sounds like I've joined their camp, but unfortunately, today I'm going to argue against that. So while it's actually very encouraging that we're starting to see female talents in the AI field, but we are completely wrong in terms of positive future of AI in this particular segment. And I'd like to actually go back to Shiho-san's point. I think she made, at the end of her argument, this will be wonderful if AI models are trained on unbiased data. But I have to break a bad news to everyone here. All of our AI models today, the massive ones that we use today, whether it's coming from OpenAI or Google's Gemini, it's actually trained on all the garbage we have on the internet, because they are all accessing mostly open data that they can train on. So which most of the part is all the stuff on the internet. And unfortunately, internet in the last 20 years opened in a way which of course allowed for freedom of expression, but it's also filled with garbage. And a lot of them are actually produced by bots. And some of them are very well done by some state backed garbage generators from companies that start with R and C. And they actually filled internet with all kinds of biased and but often unquestionable data. And unfortunately, our AI is feeding all of that garbage. Now, some of that garbage is actually not garbage. It's actually historical data. But a lot of our historical data, especially maybe pre-1980, is pretty gender biased. This is before academia had strong feminism and strong diversity agenda. So a lot of the things actually I learned is all the mistakes we've made in the past, plus those exaggerated garbage that our internet filled with. So we have actually this fundamental problem. If AI systems is starting to actually take part in more of our day-to-day decision-making, we'll actually bring those biases right back in. And look at actually what happened in the US, right? Elon Musk is very creative, starting to use AI on the data he collects. And I think, this is not just women. We are getting some people who are deported by mistake of those AIs. And a lot of those models actually have bias, right? If you're an ethnic minority, and if you're from certain countries in Latin America, you're already red flagged as potential deportees. And it's actually starting to ruin people's lives. Now, speaking of Elon Musk, I think we should also understand the specific leadership bias. While we do have great young leadership for AI that's represented by female entrepreneurs like Jean here, but majority of them, especially the big ones, are actually still controlled by men. You know, OpenAI, Sam Altman, and Google. Actually, Gemini used to be led by a female lead, but she's been replaced by a man recently. And of course, Elon Musk is leading XAI. And XAI, one of their secret weapons is Twitter, which is probably one of the worst places for gender inequality and idea of diversity. And then, obviously, U.S. government is now trying to dismantle DEI programs. So look, all that shit that happens in Twitter is feeding back to AI. So while I do agree with some of the visions I heard from Shiho-san and Jean here, but I do have to say the reality is far from there. And in fact, we are fighting with dark forces. And last comment I wanted to make, do I still have time? Is that we talked about Philippines. So Philippines actually does have a big segment of tech work, especially not necessarily the high end, but like tech support. I used to be at Adobe, and a lot of our tech support team were actually female junior engineers in the Philippines. Now, it's exactly these kind of jobs that's going to get impacted and probably wiped away by AI. And it's because already companies are starting to replace not the high end, but low end tech jobs with AI services. So while I think AI can be enabler, but also can be at the same time destruction of many such jobs today. And with that, I conclude my end of the argument, and I will actually hand it over to Nikita here.
Chodoi. Thank you. That was perfect. Nikita, you've got 5 minutes on the clock.
Cool. So I think we first need to define what woman in technology is. So I think there's two ways to look at it. One, you are a woman using AI, or you are a woman building AI or something tech related. So I think there's a lot of women that are using AI to build tech, like Shopify stores for lip glosses or lingerie or something like that. And I think this is something that comes under consumer goods, not technology. I don't think we would consider these women in technology. They're women using technology, just not women like making technology. So I think there's very, very few companies that are led by women that are actually like women in technology, 23andMe, Bumble. I think these are all founders which we can like credibly consider women like tech founders. Unfortunately, there's a lot more. Okay, he's invested in Bumble, so. I think there's a lot more male founders I can name in tech. Tesla, X, I mean, it's all owned by the same person now, but there's just so many more male tech companies that we can name, male engineers that we can name. Even the fact that Jean had to say there was a woman that raised $50 million for an AI company. Like, you said a woman, like one woman. And the fact we can say it in the singular is quite concerning. And I think because there's such a scarce amount of women in AI, as my colleague said, we're not building the training data that actually supports that supports female in tech, and it's just perpetuating this gender bias in tech. So I think one of my main arguments I want to make is that one of the main barriers to women entering and staying in tech is the cultural and trend-based phenomenon of what technology is perceived to be, and currently is perceived to be an unfeminine, logical place that requires a lot of hard work, long hours. And without this cultural perception changing, I don't believe that we're going to see a change of women entering and staying in AI, not AI, technology. So yeah, with the training data not changing, I don't think AI has the capability to change this cultural bias about women entering in technology. I think currently women are much more inclined to enter law, politics, social media, believing that these fields are easier, they are more social, that they are more flexible with jobs. With their hours and child rearing and stuff. And from experience, I can say I think this is actually a complete lie. that women have been fed, and I think it comes from movies like Legally Blonde and like glamorous things like Suits. So without this cultural perception of tech changing, I don't think women will start entering AI or technology in droves. And AI is not going to support this cultural change. I think that, yeah, Martin Scorsese has a much better chance of changing the environment of women entering technology. How much time do I have left? A minute? Okay, I'll end it there.
Thank you so much. So now we are going to move into rebuttal phase. And Shiho, I'm going to have you start, if you don't mind. This time we have 3 minutes on the clock. Ready, go.
First of all, I have to say, I feel so sorry for you two to be on that side. I know how badly you want to be on our side. So I feel pretty lucky and optimistic about this game. And then I would have to say, when I look at the AI startups or AI companies, there are 3 components for you to have in order to win, which is data, AI model, and the product. And I feel like you guys talked a lot about the model and the data. Data is contaminated and controlled by men. That is true. And I think models, yeah, it is predominantly built by men. I'll give it to you that it is somehow male-dominated, I guess, area. Data, AI model, and the last piece is products. And I hope more women will build products that people love using, and more women should be users and builders in the areas that they feel strong in. It could be care economy, taking care of kids, menopause or caregiving, unfortunately, is 75% of caretaking workforce right now is women globally. So these are the verticals, or oshikatsu, like K-pop or entertainment. It is more gender neutral. So I feel like these verticals should be a good place for women to build and have products that are strong, and they have the users. And women should and can grab influence in any way they can. And we are in control of building products, and maybe it has a flywheel effect if you have products that are used by women and men like yourself. Then we'll have more fair data on the internet, and then we'll eventually influence the model, how the model behaves. So I think with the right intention, we're in control of all 3, actually. And I think product is the first pillar that we can, as women, can tackle to just have this flywheel effect of gender equality.
Okay, with that, we're actually going to move to Akio-san for rebuttal. Akio-san, you have 3 minutes on the clock.
Thank you very much, Shiho-san. And I do also hope that that's the kind of future we'll see in the future with the power of AI. But unfortunately, that's not what's happening here. And I'm going to give you a great example. I think actually I'm going to go back to Jean's first comment. She talked about female robots out there powered by AI. Well, that's exactly the problem, right? Why do robots need to be all women serving people? I think it's actually reinforcing the gender bias. Why all those robots built in Japan that greet people like have female faces and female voices? That's exactly the kind of gender bias we don't want to actually see continue, but in fact is being repeated in AI products. Why are the robots who's serving people need to be women? At least they should be animals like cats and dogs. But that's I think is one problem that we face today. I do agree. Beyond models and data and the foundation data, we do have to ultimately see how AI productizes. But today, the products that's popping up, probably you can go to any of those floors and any of those big tech shows. I think gender bias is exactly repeated by those products. And I rest my case there.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to come back over to Jean. Jean, you have 3 minutes on the clock.
Yes. So because I'm closely related and I have a close affinity to Nikita, I will go after you, Akio. No, I will go after you. I'm kidding. No. So some of the some of the points that I wanna retaliate on. So women serving people, right? So the bots that have been built, whether they're conversational AI or embodied bots, they're not always serving. And actually, let's take a few steps back to how they were developed to begin with. All of these products go back to the same thing: profitability. The funders and the founders want money. At the end of the day, no matter how kind and soulful everyone is, we all want to profit from the products. And the only way to profit is by women designed and mostly women essence backed products. And then if you want to dish out the thing about data, we're running out of data actually. And the next problem for getting into AGI is what's the data that we're going to use? We're almost to the end of the data. So what's going to happen to AI after that? And how are we going to leap into the AGI world that we want and the AGI future that we want? I'm going to go randomly on some of the points. We all had 5 minutes each, but you both ended at 3 minutes. We couldn't stop talking about our talking points because we have a lot of data here. And so that's an important point. Women working. So my 17-year-old daughter is here. She was already alive when I entered AI, and it took a whole village and some of the Silicon Valley communities to help me raise her and raise 7 rescue animals while building a startup, while working for a Skydeck Berkeley company, while doing a lot of other consulting projects. So nope. and now I'm doing even more. So, and more male tech companies, right? Actually, the sad part is, although there are a lot of women working in AI or tech, not everyone is talked about because women are very humble. We don't normally put ourselves out there. But we have entered the age of Aquarius, which within the spiritual community is all about women, goddess, feminine energy. And the men are, they're creating that space for that. They're honoring that. And that's why we have more VCs and mentors providing that space for everybody. And I guess my 3 minutes ends there. I have more, but okay. And even male software engineers are being replaced by AI, so it's not just the women junior engineers.
And that's all. Thank you so much. Okay, with some Nikita, we've got some music in the background for you. So let's pump it up and finish it off. You got 3 minutes on the clock.
It seems like the sound stage was designed by a man. Very unthoughtful. So Jean was talking about how feminine energy is being emitted into technology, and it sounds a lot like feminine energy is being used, and we're not really profiting from it. I mean, I think this is kind of like Bad Men, round 2, round 4, round 10. So I don't know if everyone has seen Mad Men, but it's an old TV series about advertisements, and it's a lot of the men working in advertisements back then were men, and they would do the lipstick commercials. They would design all this housewife stuff. So you would see these beautiful advertisements, beautiful women. But it's all men that are making it, and unfortunately, men do have a good eye for sexualizing women. So I don't know that I don't know that a female robot is a really good indicator of us having more women in technology. I think a better indicator would be, numbers, how much venture capital has been raised, what the revenues, the profit margins are like, number of engineers. I do believe that we should see as many women in technology and leadership positions as there are currently in the legal profession and in politics and even in social media. These are very, very hard fields. They're very time consuming. They require a lot of dedication. And I think technology you do have to have a lot of dedication, but no more than someone performing in the legal domain, or even as an influencer. Those professions are so demanding. So I really believe that having indicators, like concrete indicators of women being in technology at that level, is something where we can say, okay, yeah, we're seeing more women in technology. And unfortunately, I just don't see that happening. And I don't think AI is going to change that. So, yeah. One more minute? Okay. I think our arguments are so good that we don't really have to repeat them.
All right. So which side had the stronger arguments? Now, you're going to let us know. So we're going to decide this based on the volume of your applause. I want Miss Kathy Matsui to hear it way over there, if you don't mind. You do matter. I'm going to come up on stage, though, so I can use both my ears. 1 second. I'm back. You can only clap if you're in the audience. Okay, here we go. Ready? So I want you to really give it to me. Like, my ears are bad, so let me know. If you think this side, Shiho-san and Jean, really supported that AI will accelerate gender parity and equality for women in tech, please clap. Okay, thank you. If you think the opposition had a stronger position, please clap. Nurui-ze. ちょっとぬるいぜ。日本語になっちゃうじゃん。Let's try it one more time. If you think Shiho-san's team won and had the stronger, and Jean had the stronger argument, please put your hands together like 強く. And if you think Akio and Nikita had the stronger argument with their opposition, please put your hands together. That was like 3 people double voting and 2 that didn't. どうしようか? 困ってるな. You know what? I like a tie, but I also, you gave time back, which means it went to me. So I think we should have a good old round of junkin. So pick your best junkin. Rock, scissors, paper competitor. Rock, scissors, paper. Who's going to go? Who's better? Okay, everyone, let's do this together. We'll do it in Japanese. Right? 最初はグー。じゃんけん。あいこうし。ちょっと。Oh, sorry. Okay, let's do it in English too. Rock, scissors, paper. これ難しいよ。Go! 下手くそ、ごめんなさい。Do you want to do it on go? Rock, scissors, paper, go? And 出す? Okay. Rock, scissors, paper. 3, 2, 1, go. じゃあ。Give a hand for the clear winners of this debate. Shiho-san.
Congratulations.
And Jean, thank you so much.
Now we learn rock, paper, scissors actually trump all the debate.
Yeah, actually, like the real bias is rock, scissors, paper. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. This concludes our debate for the day. Again, please find everyone on LinkedIn. If you're interested in chatting about women in tech, it is all genders. We are here to educate and empower and find a spotlight for everyone who's in tech because you all have a voice, and that is particularly important here in Japan, where sometimes the culture doesn't necessarily encourage speaking up. So if you would like to find your voice and you'd like a stage for it, please reach out and let us know. And Isa, who's on my team with me here, we have a platform where it's a global platform where you can access folks from all over the world as a part of the community, men and women. There's a QR code. It's a digital thing on a manual world piece of paper, definitely have a scan and sign up. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone here on stage. We appreciate it.
ご登壇いただきました皆様ありがとうございました。Once again, let's give a round of applause to all the speakers. Thank you very much. どうぞご登壇ください。